speaker number 12. Speaker number 12 is one of the hardest working qualified speakers that we have in the district because he has been responsible for coaching more of our qualified speakers to get to qualified. Each person who wishes to become qualified has to have an official QS as their coach. Randy Powell has coached more successful speakers to become qualified speakers than I think anybody else. And he will be speaking, You're in the Way. You're in the Way. Randy Powell.
So how's everybody doing?
Great.
Great. That's great. You had a good week?
Yes.
Okay, this is not my forte. I'm not accustomed to having a conversation with people in 7 minutes. My shortest talk is 20 minutes. My longest is an hour. So bear with me because I'm not going to let that clock beat me. But I have a question for you as we get started here. And it's an important question. If I was to ask you, each and every one of you in a private conversation across the other table, what's your greatest challenge? Or if I was to ask you, what is it that you would like to accomplish in life? What would you say? Now, I hope each and every one of you are having that conversation right now, trying to answer that question. Now, I ask that question often when I'm in conversation with clients. And one of the things that I've found out over the last 6 years is that oftentimes when you ask that question, you get the deer in the headlights. Or what I get is a conversation that has something to do with someone else. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. But what I never, ever hear is that maybe I'm not where I want to be because I'm in the way. Now, I have coached individuals who work for organizations, and they're always talking about somebody at the company is in the way. Leaders have people that are in their way. That's why the organization isn't progressing. That's why they're not hitting their target. But the same leader has not asked the question or even thought that maybe they're in the way. So I'd like to ask you this. If you're not where you want to be at this exact moment in life, if you've got something on the table that you haven't accomplished just yet, it may not be someone else. It just may be us. I'm going to share a story with you to kind of bring this to the front seat here. It's often important to talk about yourself and be honest with yourself first so that you can share and others get where you're coming from. A few years ago, I got a phone call from a friend. I consider him a friend. And some of you, many of you may know this individual, so I'll mention his name later. And he said, hey, I got an invitation for you. Why don't you come to this mastermind? Now, I had been speaking, and you know, sometimes when you're doing something and you're going after and you're trying to live full out and live your purpose, other people think you're further ahead than you really are. And oftentimes you want people to think you're further ahead than you really are, if you want to be honest. And sometimes people thought I, a few years ago, was further ahead, and I'm looking at other people thinking they're further ahead. So I get this invitation to this mastermind, and this particular location that we were at, when I got there and the pearly gates opened up, I was overwhelmed. Because this is the same location where Tiger Woods and some of those other Justin Timberlake, all those people that you put on pedestals, that I would put on pedestals, even though they put their pants on like I do, I hold them here. And we all are guilty of that, aren't we? So I get there and I drive through the pearly gates, and it's a golf classic, beautiful course. I'm dressed to the nines. Tie, three-piece suit. And I get up there, and guess what? Every single person in there, some of them had golf shoes on with their feet up on the conference table. And I'm thinking, what the heck? So I unbutton my shirt, trying to be cool like them, and I sit down at this table. Now, as I'm sitting at the table, something weird happens. They do this thing called the hot seat. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a hot seat before. I have, but it was because of a spanking. This particular hot seat, I'm a guest. They invited me. I'm not part of the mastermind. So I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to learn a lot of stuff. And I learned some things about other people who I held in high regard, putting them on a pedestal, as we're all guilty of. And as it came around the table, I thought they were going to skip me and go to the next person, which was the person that invited me. And I said, and they said, well, Randy. I said, what? They said, well, what are you challenged with? What's your big thing? What do you have? And I'm like, on the hot seat. And so I began to explain what I could, because I wasn't expecting it. And the next person who invited me said something special to me. He said, you just need to get out of your own way. For 2 years after I left there, I'm trying to figure this out. What the hell does that mean? I don't know. Have you ever had anyone tell you you just need to get out of your own way? I had an epiphany one day. This same gentleman never clarified it for me. Good friend to this day. And so one day I figured it out. I said, I get it. He's saying I'm the problem. And I've got to act. So I'm going to leave you with 3 things. They're simple as hell, but since I learned that trick, things have skyrocketed for me. I'm hanging out with people, and I'm not holding them in high regard. We're holding each other in high regard. Simple. 3 D's. Do. Get clarity. Do get clarity down to laser specific. You've heard Patricia Fripp say, specificity. Do it. If you're looking to accomplish anything, get laser specific. Do that. Second, do. Do anything that it takes that's responsible in a responsible manner. In other words, you got to act. The third, do. Don't ever. I know we have hard times and we get sidetracked and we want to quit. If you're doing something special, it's going to be tough. Don't ever, ever quit on yourself. Mr. Toastmaster.